Hello, everyone, and I welcome you for today's session. This is regarding the CBAM Definitive Phase changes. What changes we have got in with recent documentation available, and how to prepare for those changes. So let me share my screen. I hope you can see it.
Yes, visible.
So yeah. On 17th December, we have got quite a few documents from CBAM authorities. Uh, Many questions that we had earlier during the transition phase are answered through those documentation, and there are few questions for which we still are waiting for the clarity. But let's see what is going to change from 1st of January. So the first change is end of transitional phase. So tomorrow, 31st December, is the will mark the end of transitional phase, and CBAM definitive phase will begin from January 1st, 2026. So from January onwards, importers must purchase and surrender CBAM certificates based upon verified embedded emissions. Next requirement is verification requirement. Like from 1st January onwards, third-party verification of our CBAM data, CBAM report uh, by an accredited verifier as per EU ETS or ISO 14064, 17029 frameworks becomes mandatory. So third-party verification becomes mandatory from 1st of January for all the CBAM declarations. We will see all these points in detail in upcoming slides. I will first just summarize all the important changes and then we'll see those in details. Next important requirement is regarding certificate holding. So there is a change in the minimum certificate holding requirement. It is now 50%. So importers now need to hold CBAM certificates equal to 50% of year-to-date embedded emissions at each quarter end, which was earlier 80%. So this is a bit of relief to importers. Uh, so they need to hold till like at the end of first quarter, they need to hold the certificates worth of 50% of CBAM emissions they are bringing inside EU. Next, like in second quarter, they need to hold whatever was done from 1st January till the end of second quarter. So 50% of that needs to be held in their accounts of like CBAM certificate and so on. Then next change is carbon price deduction. So importers can deduct any carbon price already paid in the country of origin, but only with the certified evidences. So if there are like in source country, if there are any carbon tax already paid, those can be deducted from your CBAM carbon tax. You get benefit of that. You don't need to pay those taxes. This is all regarding importers. But for to be able to get that benefit, you need to provide the proper evidences of like you have actually paid the taxes and no other benefit has been taken on the same cost. And your importers might ask you about these evidences. Now, in India, we don't have such direct carbon tax, so we don't get any benefit out of it. But definitely, if you are buying any precursors from outside India, then you need to get the details about the carbon tax price paid and the evidences of that from your suppliers. Next is default values. So we have now a new list of default values available on CBAM website. These are country-specific default values, and those are at very higher side. We'll see those details in the upcoming slides. Next important thing is benchmarks and free allocation adjustments. So benchmarks for calculating the free allocation adjustments will be established, and we'll see those in more details in upcoming slides. Another important change is related to scrap and production routes. So earlier, all the scrap was considered as zero emissions, but now pre-consumer scrap, which is please everyone please mute yourself. Thank you. So pre-consumer scrap or any process scrap that you are using in your production process, that is now considered as precursor, and emission factor will be applicable to that. Whereas post-consumer scrap, which recycling of the goods or scrap, is still considered as zero emissions. So if manufacturers want to take maximum benefit by using the scrap-based manufacturing to get maximum benefit in your CBAM tax, so that is now discouraged. And if you are using pre-consumer scrap, then the tax will get applicable as per the CBAM calculations. Then different free allocation adjustments for scrap are available. Means different benchmarks will be applied if in case scrap is used and scrap is not used. Hence, we need to clearly define the production route and the breakup of scrap quantities in our CBAM data. Then there is this proposed scope expansion. There is a proposed list of additional CN codes which is under consideration now, and those will be added to under CBAM umbrella. And these include some of these are like series from 83, 84, 85, 87, 90, and 94, mostly related to vehicles, heavy machinery, and consumer products. So mostly it is like if your product contains any metal parts, steel, aluminum, then those are going to get covered under CBAM. So, in future or maybe sometimes later, but those will be covered under CBAM definitely. Now the timelines, there is a change in timelines. Earlier in transitional phase, every quarter importers had to upload the CBAM report, their XML report on EU website. But now it is not required on quarterly basis. The annual reporting will be required. So first annual CBAM declaration and surrender will be due by 30th September 2027. So they have given enough time for everything in the first year of the CBAM definitive phase. The certificates for this will be available from February 2027. And though the annual reporting is expected and declarations are end date is 30th September, before this deadline, we need to be, as a manufacturer or as an exporter, we need to be ready with our CBAM reports complete and verified. And to be able to hold those 50% of certificates, importer will need their quarterly numbers, like what are the emissions they are bringing in EU for a particular quarter. That number they will still need to understand how many certificates they need to hold at the end of that quarter. So they will ask you about the quarterly report. They just don't have to submit it to EU. They will only submit those at the end of the year. So let's see all these changes in details, important changes. First, everyone is very much interested in knowing about benchmarks. What are the benchmarks and how they impact the CBAM calculations? So benchmarks and SEFA, specific embedded free allocation. This is a new term they have come up with. So that SEFA, this is a number. So they have provided documentation for calculating this SEFA number and benchmarks for its calculation. So provisional benchmarks are published for calculation of free allocation adjustment. So this SEFA is free allocation adjustment, which will be like deducted from, this is a deduction from your CBAM applicable, like whatever emissions you have, these free allocation adjustment will be a deduction from it. So it's like it's better to have a bigger number for free allocation adjustment. These benchmarks values that they have published are based upon CN codes. So different CN codes will have different benchmarks. Then there is a differentiation among CN codes also. Even if the CN code is same, based upon production route, they have published different benchmarks. So for example, in steel, BF production route has higher benchmarks than DRI EAF or scrap EAF production route. So if you are using scrap, you get less benefit of free allocation. If you are using blast furnace route, then you are getting more benefit of free allocations like that. In aluminum also, like primary aluminum and secondary melting production route, they have different values of benchmarks. Primary gets the benefit like because it is not a scrap based manufacturing, it gets more free allocation adjustment. Then there are different values of benchmarks based upon actual default SE value. So whether you are using actual measured calculated emission values or you are using the default values, your benchmarks differ based upon that. So they have different columns altogether of benchmark values for these two. These benchmarks are not directly deducted from your SE value. These benchmarks will be used in combination with CBAM factors to calculate the specific embedded free allocation SEFA for the production process. So for example, for your process G in year Y, there is a like highlighted term CBAM Y into CSFS CSCFY. So these numbers vary yearly. Y indicates year. So for 2026, the CBAM factor is 97.5 and CF is not yet known. It is expected to be 1. So these numbers will vary based upon year. So these will get, uh, uh, these are like on top of these benchmarks, you will get variable advantage every year. So first, in the first year, which is 2026, you will get maximum benefit of free allocation. In next year, you will get reduced benefit of free allocation. In the 2028, you will get much lesser, and it is like it will become zero after 2030. So every year, your benefit of free allocation is going to reduce, and at the end of 2030, there will be zero benefit of benchmarks. So this is the time that is given for the manufacturers to improve their processes, to improve their like approaches and production routes, so that zero emissions are like we achieve the number of zero emissions there. Next is allocation adjustment also considers the precursors free allocation adjustment. So this is not like first we calculated our own process free allocation, and the precursors attribution is also gets added to it. So based upon the how much precursor you are using, your numbers of free allocation adjustment will vary. So next formula you are seeing on screen, like SEFA GY. So G is your process. So for process G or precursor G for year Y, your SEFA will calculated at your process pre-allocation plus mass ratio of your precursor into your precursor pre-allocation. So you can get the better numbers of SEFA if you have all the actual verified SE values from the supply chain. If you are getting, like till now, we are using default values for like our own values. We are calculated, all our customers are getting their own production values, consumption values, everything. They are measuring it and they are providing us, or they are entering those in the system actual values, and based upon that we are calculating the SE value. But when it comes to precursor, we are asked to use the default values, as most of the suppliers have not provided their SE values. So we are using the default values. But if you have the actual SE values, you get better numbers of pre-allocation adjustment. So it is very beneficial to get the actual SE values from your suppliers. So we need to take special efforts to get those actual values from suppliers. Till now, it didn't matter much. It was just a report, but now everything is going to result in the number of certificates that are required for this shipment, which is going in EU. So it is very important to get the actual verified numbers. Next is default values. So now earlier we had a default common list of default values. So CN code specific, like every CN code has had some default SE direct and SE indirect values, and we used to use those for our precursor calculations. But now Commission has come up with country specific values. So for India, the values are very high. And this is based upon the data that they have gathered during the transition phase. So if any country has, it depends upon your processes, your raw material, your fuels, and based upon like top 10 worst performing installations, worst performing factories in that particular area, those numbers are considered. Average of those numbers is considered as default values. So when you try to use default values for your CBAM calculations, you are going to get very high SE numbers, definitely. So calculation formula is designed in such a way that the entire supply chain, even if the CBAM report is not available for any one of the materials, if you have multiple precursors and only one precursor doesn't have the actual values, you are going to end up with very high SE values. We'll see those values, how those have changed now. So manufacturers should make sure that to get the verified SE values from the suppliers, and suppliers also need to get the verified actual SE values from their vendors. So this CBAM is no longer just another compliance that we are dealing with. It has a major financial implications. We need to take it very seriously, and small like 0.1 number, like higher SE number will result in very high CBAM tax. So we need to make sure that we get all the correct, accurate, verified, measured data for the calculations. So here I know this is not very clear, but I just wanted to how I have received this default documentation. You can see at the top, it is written over here, India. So this is a snapshot from India default values list. This is for this here at the bottom, you can see 720711 as a CN code. It is semi finished product of non-alloy iron. First column shows the base default values. Second column is default value indirect. The indirect emissions for are not applicable for iron and aluminum. So that's why it is shown Na. Then default values total. And the fourth column, you can see it is 2026 default values, and fifth is 2027 default values. So first column is the base default value 4.270. For 2026, 4.270, 10% of 4.270 is your default value. So for 2026, it becomes 4.697. And for 2027, it becomes 5.124. So, and so on, it is going to increase. So every year it is going to increase default values. So it's better to establish that method of measuring the data, calculating the data in the first year itself. Transition phase was given to establish that practice, establish that setup and process of measuring and calculating the data, so that we don't get impacted because of these higher default value numbers. So even if we have not done it yet, it is high time that we do it now. We should stop using default values altogether now. So here I have taken few samples which we are dealing with to understand how it is going to impact us. So here in this yellow highlighted column, you can see the earlier transitional phase default values, and the column, the numbers in blue are the default values for 2026. So if we consider nuts of iron or steel, second last product here listed here. If we, for simplicity, if we consider that there is a zero emission, direct emission happening in the factory during this process of nuts of iron and steel, zero direct emission at the factory. Whatever emissions comes from the precursor, and consider as precursor mass ratio as 1 for simplicity. So you will have 1.89 as your SE direct value. You used to have it. Right? So 1.89 in transitional phase. Same with everything same, you will end up with 5.654 in 2026. Everything is same. Your consumption, your raw material consumption, your fuel consumption, your process, everything remains same. But only EU rules have changed for calculation, and now you will end up with 5.654. So this high is the difference and impact of default values now. And like it is going to increase year by year. So in 2027, it will be 6.168 for the same process and same everything. So it is better to use actual. And when we have got the cases where we have the actual numbers from the suppliers as well, and in that case, we have never got these high numbers. So definitely, if you have the actual numbers, those will not be as high as these numbers. If you have a standard, good, sustainable process followed at your installation. So it is advised to get the actual numbers of CBAM, actual CBAM data and actual SE values from the supplier. Next important thing is verification. So the tax is liability for importers. They need to pay the tax. They need to declare the CBAM data, emissions and everything. So it is their responsibility. But the responsibility of providing verified data is with exporters. Whoever is so importer is going to ask you for the verified CBAM data. It's not just CBAM data now, it's verified CBAM data. So your CBAM report needs to be verified by accredited verifier as per EU ETS or ISO standards. And this needs to be done before the declaration deadline of September 2027. This verification process includes mandatory factory visit. Those verifier auditors will visit your factory, they will see your process, they will understand the scope of work, and they will see whether you have considered appropriate scope under CBAM. So there might be some sub processes in your production process, and if there are 5 processes and only 4 are considered during CBAM, the consumption for 4 is considered in CBAM calculation and 1 is left behind because of certain reasons. They will identify that and they can raise questions regarding that. So they want to see everything. So this mandatory factory visit will needs to happen, like verifier will visit the do on-site audit at least in the first year of definitive phase. In the next year, it is like it is up to verifier whether if they are satisfied, they might go for virtual offline online verification, and like they will check your data, but they might not visit the site in the next year. But again, it is for every alternate year they need to do this factory visit and keep checking your process, like if you have any changes, if you have improved numbers, then what was the reason for that improvement, whether you have actually taken some measures to get those improved numbers. That also will be checked. So you need to be ready with all the data related to that audit and factory visits. All emission related data and verified evidence must be kept for at least 6 years after the reporting year and made available for audit on request. So whenever like they can, they might ask you for the past records also. Everything starts from 2026. So 2026 onwards, you need to keep like for the if in 2026 we have done the audit, for next 6 years you need to keep that those records intact so that you can present those anytime whenever requested during the subsequent audits. Documents and evidences required for these audits. There is a like this list is not limited. It is not all. It is just a guideline. What is expected. We are still in like waiting for more details about these verifications. So, what documents you need to keep with you as a evidence? This is the list: detailed production and throughput data, your raw material and fuel consumption records, measurement and calibration logs of any measuring instruments that you are using, then your energy usage and emission factor references, laboratory test reports, like for example, MTC files, then your carbon content related lab test results, then your emission factor related data. Then they need a proper documentation of your monitoring and calculation methodologies. So what method you use for monitoring the data and what method you use for calculation. Then source and version of public emission factors. So if you are using any public emission factors for calculation, like IPCC data, IE data, so various public databases are available for emission factors data. So if you are using those, they need which one you are using, which version you are using, reference link or reference documents for those, everything related to that. And if public emission factors are used, you must keep the full citation and justification note explaining why the lab data was not available. So by default, they expect all the like, emission factors, carbon content, MTC data, all that data coming from your lab tests. They are expecting frequent lab test of the input materials as well as output product contents, and based upon that you need to calculate your CBAM numbers. And if you don't have those lab test results, what was the reason behind it and why you are using public emission factors. For now, in transition phase, we were using all the public emission factors, and we will continue to use it, but we need to provide the proper documentation of and reasoning behind why we are not getting the lab data. So this was related to verification, and these are the important changes that are going to happen in the definitive phase. So how at the CleanCarbon we are getting ready for this definitive phase. So though these changes seems complex, we are here to help you support during this transition and throughout the reporting and tax or cost calculations. So our CleanCarbon tool is now getting upgraded with this new information that we have now. So we are getting ready for definitive phase. And these changes or these new enhancements includes reporting changes using the new default values and new CN codes. Then there are cost calculations. We using the production route specific benchmarks, free allocation adjustments, CBAM factors, and everything. We're considering everything like average EU carbon price. So considering all those factors, we will come up with the carbon cost. There will be additional dashboard items for you to see the carbon price against each of your product. Uh, there will be a calculator to calculate, like you can play with the numbers. Like if my SE reduces with this much number, how much benefit I'm going to get, or if I use different production route, how much benefit I will get. So that kind of checks you can do through that calculator, and there will be product-wise reports of cost, CBAM cost. Then there is evidence management. So we have seen that for verification, a lot of evidences will be required. So in a CleanCarbon tool, you might have seen there are upload buttons, upload proofs button. At every section, we have those buttons for you to upload or attach the proofs to your CBAM data. So, and right now, those are like system keeps on warning you, like you have not submitted the proof, but it allows you to proceed further without the proof. Now onwards, it will not allow you to proceed further. It will demand for the proof before proceeding further. Before generating report, you need to submit all the evidences. And what proofs? Like for every data point that we enter, we need a proof. Why this? From where it is coming? So you must be having internal systems, internal data, Excel sheets, whatever is the data, whatever are the reports from where you have calculated that production quantity or raw material consumption quantity or precursor consumption quantity or your fuel consumption. So we need proof for everything. So all those can be attached to the system. It is already present in the system. It's just like we are going to make it mandatory at every stage. And there are certain additional evidences required, like for example, for emission factors, publicly available emission factors. If we are using those, we need to provide certain proofs, certain declarations. So those will be provided, or those will be auto attached to your report. Then next is audit readiness. Like if generating or maintaining the proofs is one thing, and another is like uh, helping that third party auditors to do this audit. So keeping everything ready for them to check at one place. So there are certain requirements regarding verification. So record keeping for 6 years. So we already have that in place. We already keep. If you attach a proof, it will remain there with your and your data will be preserved for 6 years. Then auditors will look for audit trails, whether you are tampering with the data at any point, you change the data and then you generate the report, or whether it is like uh, yeah, there are any rules for changing the data, and are there any workflows followed, so that they can check through these audit trails reports, and it is already present in the system. Then there will be some reports uh, for auditors to see what kind of data we have, like at to like there is a CBAM report, and corresponding to it there is a raw data, so they can see that raw data and match it with the CBAM report. So those auditors report we will be adding to the tool, and we already have auditor user role. So auditors can log into the system. They will have the read-only access. They cannot change any data, but they can view the reports, the raw data. They can see the calculations happening. So all that data will be there to support that audit. So those changes we are currently uh, working on, and it will be like added to the tool very soon. And at last, what are the action items for the exporters or manufacturers or traders, whoever is sending their goods to EU directly or indirectly? Indirectly means if you are supplying goods to some manufacturers as a raw material, and then they are in turn sending those to EU, then again you come under, like, entire supply chain comes under that CBAM reporting. So these action items are applicable to everyone. So first thing is check CBAM readiness of your buyer or importer. They need to register at EU portal. They need to be like, they need to identify their requirements. So you must have heard that like 50 ton below 50 tons there is no CBAM requirement. So importer, if annual import is below 50 tons, entire import, not just steel or not just aluminum, entire import of the importer is less than 50%, they don't come under CBAM. So but if even if it becomes 51, they come under CBAM. Entire import comes under CBAM, and they need to provide the report, pay the tax, everything. So they need to be ready for such uh, scenarios. And also the big importers, they definitely need to be ready with it. So you need to check their CBAM readiness, so that your export will not get impacted. Then you need to add relevant clauses in your contracts with buyers to clearly specify who bears the cost of CBAM certificates. So this is like uh, there is a like quite uncertainty, or maybe not, things are not clear, or maybe so you need to check those clauses, who bears the CBAM cost for that export or for that import in EU. Get in touch with all your suppliers. Now it is buyer is done. You need to also get in touch with your suppliers to make them aware about CBAM cost, and prefer suppliers who can provide you verified SE data. Add relevant clauses in your suppliers contract to make sharing of this verified CBAM report mandatory. So it's not optional now. You need to make it mandatory to get, like, to get the business. They have to provide measure the data, and they need to calculate their CBAM data, and it must be mandatory for them, so that you get decent numbers, you get proper data for CBAM. Then third party verification is responsibility of exporters, hence you need to, and it will come with cost. You need to budget for that. And very important thing is set up an efficient methodology for accurate measuring and reporting of the data. We have clean carbon tool, we have been generating reports, but the data that is supplied to clean carbon tool is measured at your end. So that that method of measuring that data should be efficient and accurate. It should be traceable. When you give like 10 tons of production, uh, that 10 tons should be traceable in your system, your data files. So that needs to be if that efficient methodology is not established, it is high time that it needs to be established now. Calculated values or approximations will not be accepted by verifier. Verifier need traceable data. So whatever data points we mention, like if you have used XYZ tons of raw material, then how it comes, from where it comes, in which month it came in your inventory, when it was used in your production, those records they need you need to be able to show it to verifier, and they will accept only approve the reports only if they could find that traceability in the data. So this is a very important thing that everyone needs to set up their efficient methodology for accurate measuring of the data. Then next is identify and prepare for the evidence documents. So we saw the list of evidence documents that are needed. There will be many more. So we need to identify from like for production. Yes. Hello, Nilesh.
No, go ahead, but you can finish. Then I want to talk to everyone. So
Okay, okay. Yeah. So last point is for identification and preparing evidence documents. We need to be ready with the evidence documents. We cannot generate those at the end of the quarter or at the end of the year. We need to start preparing for those, maintaining those. And if you attach those along with your reports, those will be there in the system and those will be easily available to the auditors. So that's it. From my side, I think Nilesh wants to say something. So yeah, Nilesh, over to you. And then we
yes,
will take up questions.
yes. Thank you, Preeti, for covering all that. So first of all, I really appreciate everyone joining in. I just want to tell you that we are here to support you. And the exercise we wanted to do was just to understand if you have any concerns, and also tell you that we are already making all those changes at our end as well. Since you know there are a lot of documents which are getting released. In fact, in December itself, they have released 6, 7 new documents, which we are trying to analyze, understand, and immediately make those changes in those processes so that all our customers are ready with any new change, any new requirement, or anything which is coming from CBAM authorities or CBAM guidelines. And like as you know, taxes are starting from 1st January. So most of you are already ready with your CBAM reports. But if the companies which are not ready with the CBAM reports, their shipment will not get cleared from 1st January onwards. So that is why it is a very important exercise for all your suppliers, connections, or anybody. Let them know that this is very critical time or a very important phase for them to get started. And yes, the last thing I just wanted to tell you, at Clean Carbon and our entire team is fully equipped, ready to support you all, and make sure that uh, you all are able to sell this smoothly with us. Yeah, that is what I just wanted to give my last message. Sorry, I joined little late because there was earlier meeting which got little bit delayed, but I'm sure Preeti and team might have covered what we wanted to cover.
Thank you, Nilesh. Yeah, now we'll have a time for questions. Please go ahead. You can ask your questions. I can see some questions in the chat, so I'll try to cover those. What is CN codes? So CN code is you must be knowing HSN code. So CN codes are the similar to HSN code. There are additional extra digits to it, and those are used in European geography majorly. So those are the list of CN codes which are covered under CBAM is released by EU Commission, CBAM Commission. So we have that list. If you want, we can share it with you. Yes, Anilji, you can go ahead with your question.
Yeah, madam, we are right now into the manufacturing of steel slag fertilizer. By converting steel slag into fertilizer, Japanese companies and Korean companies do get carbon credit. But we fear that, okay, we are into the same type of manufacturing of converting a waste into wealth. Will we getting carbon credit, or what should be the procedure to get that carbon credit in India? That is a
Priti,
big thing
I'll
which
take
is
it.
really well interested.
So, Anil, we understand your concern about carbon credit. Maybe we can take that offline, because this discussion we want to focus on CBAM. Anything related to CBAM or any European export which is happening is what the major agenda is here. But yes, I think we already discussed earlier also about it, but we can take it offline, and your concern about carbon credit, we can take it later.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Yes.
Okay, next question I can see is like, who are the third-party verifiers? So this list is not yet published. You will appoint those accredited verifiers. Mostly the companies and agencies which are dealing with EU ETS verification. Those will be there, and yeah, we will support you during the while selecting or connecting with these verifiers when that list is available. Yes, Sharatji, you can go ahead with your question. Okay.
I think his question is, what will be the cost of third-party verification? So that will come to know, Sharadji. As of now, that cost is not available since we don't have the data of the verifiers who will be the actual verifiers from you.
It means uncertainty is prevailing.
Yes,
No,
currently, like few things are not like verification is mandatory, and what is actually going to happen during verification, those details are available, but still those agencies are not yet identified.
You see, it means the EU is making an attempt to just decide the name of the child before the marriage. You see, basically they are putting everything is on this thing, but they themselves are not certain what they actually want from us.
Yes, that verification is to be done before September 2027. So that's why, we are expecting that these details, missing details, will be available in January 2026.
But the basic question here is EU wants to write only the will after the death. They don't want to make the horoscope. You see, when they want something, they say people should know what exactly are to be there, what type of records are to be maintained, what are to be things to be made available, where and what, how.
Yeah, those details are available. So we have discussed those details in the this presentation also. So what you need to be ready with is known. So we can start with that.
Let's see what happens. Yeah.
Yes.
What are the default values for ferromanganese?
Yeah, we can take up that separately. Like we have, it's a big list of CN code wise. So CN code
Okay.
wise and then production route wise, it differs. So
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
We'll share that list with you, Mahesh. So everybody will get that list exactly. Is
Yeah,
that?
yeah, no problem, no problem. We can
Yeah.
take later.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no
Yes,
problem.
yes.
Yeah.
I think Sharadji wants to talk something. Kashyap, can you unmute Sharadji Mirale?
Yeah, I already done it, but they can unmute themselves on their side only. I can mute only if someone I want to, but
Okay,
if
no problem. So, Sharadji, can you unmute if you want to speak, or we could see your question here?
is there any mandatory methodology techniques
yes,
for
yeah. Is there any mandatory methodology techniques for monitoring and the calculation of the carbon emissions calculation? So yes, there are. CBAM already has defined this methodology of calculating, like how you can calculate the your carbon emissions, carbon emission intensity. All those details are available, and accordingly we are calculating it through our CleanCarbon tool. So your CleanCarbon tool implements all those rules and formulas. So we just need to prepare the documentation, like what exactly, what method. There are, like in that also, there are different methods like mass balancing or regular method of calculating based upon emission factors. So what are your methodology and how are you measuring? That is the part coming from the exporter or manufacturer. So how are you measuring this data? So somebody has SAP systems through the which inventory can be measured, or your raw material consumptions can be measured. So that kind of details needs to be specified in that document, and that needs to be kept ready with along with your report.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me take that. So Sharadji, for Jindal Aluminium, anyways, we are doing that your entire reporting from last 1 year. So your specific question is about you are taking the raw material from approved source. So whether it comes from direct emissions or indirect emissions. So direct emission is anything which is happening in your factory or the emissions that you do in your factory is part of direct emissions. And so indirect emission is with the electricity consumption or the power consumption that you do. And the raw material that you purchase is part of embedded emission, but yes, that could be on high level can be clubbed as indirect emissions because CBAM says direct and indirect. So direct is anything which is your factory, and anything which is happening outside your factory is part of indirect emissions, including all the emissions done by your suppliers, whether they are approved material suppliers or any type of material that you purchase. Yes. So I think we don't have any new questions. So any if
हेलो
yes, go ahead.
हेलो आपको आवाज आ रही है मेरी सर?
हाँ, आवाज आ रही है आपकी।
जी सर,
yes.
मैं पूछना चाह रहा हूँ सर कि अगर मेरे पास सप्लायर्स के ऐसी वैल्यूज नहीं है तो डिफॉल्ट वैल्यूज यूज होंगी या डिफॉल्ट वैल्यूज यूज नहीं कर सकते हैं?
सो अनुप जी, अगर डिफॉल्ट वैल्यूज ही है तो अपने को अभी वी नीड टू टॉक टू ऑल योर सप्लायर्स and work with them to get the actual emission. So far it was allowed, and going forward also it is costlier for us if we use default values. Preeti might have showed you that if we keep using default values, the cost of the carbon tax goes high, and in turn, our product cost will increase. So now it is in our benefit to talk to all our suppliers and ask them to generate their CBAM report or ACE values and give those reports to us. If they are not able to do themselves, then we are supporting a lot of our customer where they can access our supplier module and can submit their data and can generate the report.
एक्चुअली हम लोगों के मेजर सप्लायर जो जापानीज हैं, तो बड़ा इशू आ रहा है इस टाइम पे।
अनूप जी, आई मीन अभी वर्ल्ड वाइड अभी बहुत सारे हमारे ऐसे कस्टमर है कि जिनके चाइनीज के सप्लायर है या वियतनाम के सप्लायर है। सो सब अभी व्हाट वी नीड टू डू इज वी नीड टू गेट द डेटा फ्रॉम देम एज वेल, इवन इफ इट इज कमिंग फ्रॉम एनी पार्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड। So we can take it, I mean, we can discuss on one-to-one all the challenges that you may have, and we can figure out some solution how to get the data from those suppliers.
एक चीज और पूछना है मुझे कि अभी जैसे जनवरी 2026 से शुरू हो रहा है डेफिनेट, लेकिन रिपोर्ट जो आना है 27 में आना है, ये एक साल के डिफरेंस में क्या रहेगा?
नहीं, 27 में रिपोर्ट आना है
सर्टिफाइड से हुआ ना?
नो, फॉर ये 2026 में जो भी इंपोर्ट्स होंगे उनका रिपोर्ट सिर्फ सबमिट और डिक्लेयर सिर्फ 2027 में करना है। रिपोर्ट तो बनाना 26 में ही है, पूरा 26 का।
हाँ, उसका कार्बन सर्टिफिकेट जो है
टैक्स पेमेंट विल बी डिफर्ड टिल 27।
ओके।
हाँ, मतलब मैं थोड़ा क्लियर कर दूं, 1 जनवरी के बाद जो भी शिपमेंट जाएगी यूरोप में, तो उसके साथ हमको उसके अंदर कितना कार्बन इमिशन है वो देना पड़ेगा, और वो जब शिपमेंट क्लियर करनी होगी आपके इंपोर्टर को, तो उसका जो कैलकुलेशन है वो कैलकुलेशन होगा एंड इट विल कम ऑन हिज बुक्स। ओके, उसका जो पेमेंट है पूरा 26 में टोटल उसने कितना इंपोर्ट किया और उसका कितना बिल हो रहा है CBAM का या कार्बन टैक्स का, वो ही कैन पे इन 27। बट रिपोर्ट जो है वो 26 से मैंडेटरी होगी, नहीं होगा तो शिपमेंट विल नॉट गेट क्लियर।
एक चीज होता है इसमें, 50 मेट्रिक टन से बिलो के लिए रिपोर्ट्स कंपलसरी नहीं है।
हाँ, वो भी मैं एक पॉइंट वापस क्लियर कर दूं, वो थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूजन ही होता है कि वो जो 50 मेट्रिक टन का जो है ना, दैट इज फॉर द इंपोर्टर। ओके, सो अगर कोई इंपोर्टर है फॉर एग्जांपल जो आपसे 1 ही टन ले रहा है, सो फॉर एग्जांपल ही इज परचेसिंग जस्ट फॉर from you 1 ton, but he is purchasing from maybe 30 other suppliers and his total import is more than 50 ton as an importer in Europe, then still even if you are exporting 1 ton or 2 ton, the report has to be submitted because that facility is for importer, not for you.
Okay.
इसका मतलब छोटी क्वांटिटी तो कभी इंडिया से जाएगी नहीं। कोई छोटा क्वांटिटी 2, 4, 5 टन कोई भेजना चाहता है और उसका आगे उसका 50 टन होगा, तो उसके लिए वाइबल होगा कहाँ पे वो रिपोर्ट दे? 5 टन के लिए वो अपना CBAM का पूरा काम करेगा तो पॉसिबल नहीं होगा, उसके लिए वाइबल ही नहीं होगा।
मीन अभी तो उसका जो बिजनेस उसके जो भी कस्टमर है उसके बेसिस पे वो रिपोर्ट ऑलमोस्ट हर किसी को लगने वाला है। आगे वो वाइबल होगा नहीं होगा, दैट इज समथिंग अ कॉल दैट पर्टिकुलर जो भी उसका प्रोडक्ट है उसके बेसिस पे उसको लेना पड़ेगा। बट that doesn't change anything from Indian perspective or any exporter perspective. The point I was making was, if importer is too small, which is just importing less than 50 ton in an entire year, so that particular importer is exempted from this regulation at this moment, is what the point that we need to look at.
बात सही है नीलेश जी, आपने बोला वो तो सही है, पर प्रैक्टिकलिटी कैसे होगी? तो ये सब चीजें इंप्लीमेंट करने के लिए हमारे पास रिसोर्स कहाँ है, हमारे पास सिस्टम कहाँ है? बोलना तो आसान है, सबने EU ने बोल दिया अपने तरीके से। आज जो EU को कंट्रोल करना है, इंडिया से इंपोर्ट करना है, तो इंडिया पे जो कैपेसिटी का लिमिट होना चाहिए, भाई यहाँ पे 50 टन आप कर रहे हो तो आपको चाहिए। इंस्टेड ऑफ दैट दे शुड हैव, यहाँ वाइबिलिटी और फंक्शनलिटी बनना चाहिए ना। खाली वो चीज कुछ भी प्रेस्क्राइब कर दे, इसका मतलब यही है भाई इंडिया से एक्सपोर्ट यूरोप को नहीं करना चाहिए, EU को बंद करना चाहिए। वो तो यही मतलब आ रहा है, वो तो कुछ आ नहीं रहा। दे वांट टू बी इंडिपेंडेंट, देम सो लेट देम बी, दैट्स ऑल। It's a matter of now government of India should take up that matter.
महेश जी जो
I'm
आप
with you. I'm with you. Sorry, Anup. Yes.
हाँ, मैं भी महेश जी से इत्तेफाक रखता हूँ कि वो जो बोल रहे हैं मुझे भी लग रहा है इनडायरेक्टली वो सही है कि
Absolutely, absolutely. I
सर
mean, see,
बात
हम
ऐसी है
लोग
अनूप जी कि अपन लोगों को जो है ना यूरोपियन कमीशन चाहता क्या है? If they want to work with them, it's okay. If they don't want to work with them, we have to decide for ourselves.
सर हमको डिसाइड करना पड़ेगा ना सर,
नहीं,
पर हमको बिजनेस भी करना है
हाँ
अगर
वो
हम
तो वही
कर
बात आ रही
सकते
है
हैं।
सर,
हाँ
वही बात आ रही
वही
है।
आप
ये जो सीबीएम का ऑडिट का वो कभी तक एजेंसी नहीं है, वो कॉस्ट मान लीजिए
हाँ
5 लाख रुपए मांगेगा ऑडिट करने का, तो कहाँ से आप वो जो 10 टन दे रहा है 20 टन दे रहा है उसको 5 लाख रुपए पोसाएगा? पोसाएगा ही नहीं उसको।
मैं वही तो कह रहा हूँ सर, हम लोगों का टोटल मुश्किल से 5 से 10 करोड़ के टोटल, 10 करोड़ मैक्सिमम जो है एक्सपोर्ट होता है, और अगर इसमें आके कोई 10 लाख मांग लेगा ऑडिट के लिए तो हम लोगों को आफत होना है।
हाँ तो
ये
वही सब
क्वेश्चन है हमारा।
लड़ने के लिए कहाँ से लड़ेंगे सर, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट तो अपने साथ लड़ेंगे नहीं।
तो मुश्किल तो आना है सर हमको आगे फ्यूचर में।
तो मुश्किल तो आना था, मतलब अपने को अपना घर देखना ना, सब कैसे देखना, फिर तो यही बात हो गई, भारत को अपना देश देखना, देखने की बात शुरू करें।
करना ही है सर वो तो।
हाँ
right, sir. I mean, of course, ये all are really valid, and we are there with you.
नहीं
Of
सर
course,
देखिए,
this needs
इसमें
to be
नीलेश जी
taken
थोड़ा
up with
सा
the
सबमिशन
government.
एक और सबमिशन करना चाहता हूँ नीलेश जी। आज जो
Yes, yes.
प्रोड्यूसर हैं, इनके पास जो मतलब माइंस के प्रोडक्ट आ रहे हैं, उनके ऊपर क्या कंट्रोल है? किसी का कोई कंट्रोल नहीं है। जो इनपुट है वो माइन से आने वाला, कोल भी आने वाला है, कोक भी आने वाला है, और भी मटेरियल आने वाले, मेटल भी आने वाले हैं, आयरन और भी आने वाला है, सभी चीज आने वाली है। ये तो नेचुरल प्रोडक्ट्स है, नेचुरल प्रोडक्ट्स में तो कोई कंट्रोल है ही नहीं किसी का। तो वो जो चीज को कंट्रोल करने के लिए उसको एमिशन को कम करना या कंज्यूम करना, क्या टेक्नोलॉजी है? कोई टेक्नोलॉजी किसके पास है कि वो कार्बन जो उसमें आ रहा है उसको रिड्यूस करके कहाँ पे लेके जाए? कोई टेक्नोलॉजी भी तो हो उसको यूज करके ले जाने की।
सर इसमें इसमें तो हम जो अपने लेवल पर कर सकते हैं सिर्फ वही कर सकते हैं।
अरे वो सब लेवल पे सब जो चीज पॉसिबल होगी वो करेंगे ना। आज अपने पास जो इनपुट में जितना आ रहा है, आपके पास बचता क्या है? खाली थोड़ा बहुत जो पावर आज की तारीख में है, उसी में रिन्यूएबल्स को लेके कुछ कर सकते हो तो कर लो, बाकी और क्या
हाँ
करेंगे? हाँ, आज आपके रोड ट्रांसपोर्ट सारा जो चल रहा है उसी में चल रहा है।
Correct.
तो
Yeah,
मतलब
I think we have some other questions relevant to CBAM. So
क्या प्लीज
here,
प्लीज
yeah,
प्लीज
sorry, we are discussing CBAM here, so like we cannot take those discussions like whether it is how the
नहीं वो
cost
बात
and all
सही है।
will be covered. Yeah, okay,
ना ना वो
sorry.
ठीक है, वो बात नहीं कि तो
Yeah,
बेसिकली जो चीज लागू करने वाले हैं उसका पता ही नहीं, आपने ड्रेस बनाई कोई पहनने वाला ही नहीं, तो फायदा क्या उसका?
correct. Yeah, but some processes can be improved, like your alternate fuels, alternate methodologies, machineries can improve the process emissions, and they want to encourage those. So yeah, sustainable practices are encouraged. Okay.
नहीं इसमें एक
We
मैं एक क्वेश्चन में ये कर रहा हूँ
yeah.
कि इसके लिए हमको कौन हेल्प करेगा कि हम लोग क्या करें कि इमिशन कम हो?
Yes, at certain levels, we can at CleanCarbon we can guide you depending upon the processes. What is your production process, and depending upon that, we can guide you for that.
इसमें एक ISO 1067 का एक वो आता है, बात आती है, तो उसके लिए क्लीन कार्बन है अथोराइज कि हम अगर चाहें ISO के लिए जाना तो क्लीन कार्बन सपोर्ट कर सकता है?
Right. So,
Maybe
Anup,
Nilesh
we
can
have
take
all the
this up.
required certifications. So that I mean, anything outside CBAM requirement, we'll definitely understand what exactly is needed. But your specific question was what can be done to reduce the emissions and help us. Next action plan with all our customers is now once we settle all this reporting governance next that we make is understand the processes and maybe suggest the improvement areas, what can be done to reduce the overall emissions, and then what will be the impact on the tax when we make those changes. So all those things are a part of the next phase that we'll be taking up with everyone. And the specific query that you asked, 14067, so we do have all the required certifications which are needed. I think there is one more question. Is third-party verification is required for every batch of so I think this is by General Aluminum. So see, verification would be for the entire year. It is not for every batch or quarter, but it would be an annual verification. But it will check all your reports. So all the entire year, whatever was you did, and what were the emission numbers that you supplied. So that will be verified and on annual basis. But even the data is per it would come under the verification.
Yes, so verification will be annual verification and against the annual report that we are going to submit.
एनुअल रिपोर्ट्स के लिए हमको हर क्वार्टर के रिपोर्ट्स कंपेयर करना पड़ेंगे.
Yes, every quarter, like we can put in data, we can generate the report at the end of quarter. That will give us idea where exactly we are going, what are our numbers, and like quarter to quarter, how they are changing. Then at the end of year, we can use the same like 12 months data to generate one combined annual report. So we have that facility in the tool. So we can generate that report for all 12 months data. And that will be our annual report. And that will be the SE number in that report will be our final SE number for that particular year.
Yes, Ashwini, I think I have some questions.
Yes.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, my question is that means we need to create a reporting for every quarter, but we are not going to have certificate of every quarter. We will get certificate of now from 2026 every year like this.
Yes, yes. So we need to generate the report for our understanding, and also if the importer asks us for quarterly numbers for their understanding of the number of certificates they need to hold. So quarterly report is for that, and at the end of the year we need to generate the annual report, and against that annual report we will have the verification and all, and we will
That
have
means
to pay the
yes.
for the certifications for that annual report.
Okay, that means if customer want some report from us, that like if they want a report for a particular product or particular thing, then it should be uh, means we can give that quarterly report to them, or we need only annually.
No, it depends.
Let
Like
me take that.
when yeah.
Sorry. So see, Ashwini ji,
Yes, sir.
reporting like we were doing, it needs to be done because see, shipments can go in any quarter. So, for example, if your shipment is going in January or February, okay, and the customer to submit those data in April, so we need to generate those reports for every shipment or every quarter and submitted. So it's not like we will have to wait till the end of year and then next year that report has to be submitted. That is not the case. Report has to be generated every quarter. This is only for the tax and only for the first year. That for the entire year, what is the tax calculation for all the shipments that you have done, or what are the imports that you have done? They can pay it for on annual basis. But the reporting has to be done on every quarter. The calculation has to be done for every quarter.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay,
Yes,
we have
I
one
think
question in
Anwar ji-
chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is one
Good.
question in chat. Yeah, it is like regarding whether CBAM is applicable to merchant trader, and if yes, then what is the process for him? So yes, the CBAM is applicable for all the goods that are entering EU. So whether it is coming from trader or whether it is coming from manufacturer, it doesn't matter. Whoever is supplying the goods, they need to provide the report, verified report, and the report is to be generated based upon like whoever is the actual manufacturer. So where exactly that product was manufactured, we need to generate the report for that particular factory for that particular product. So it might result in multiple reports. So you might be procuring the products from different suppliers and sending those to Europe. Then you will have to generate those many reports and submit those along with your shipments.
Yes, ma'am. If we are preparing reports every quarter, but there is no verification and verification at the end of the year, if verifier this verify that there is some issue or some report is not correct, then what will happen?
So, okay, Nilesh, are you taking this?
Yes. So there are penalties. So see, now as per the current regulation, the 5% allowance is only allowed. So if your values are off by maybe maximum 5%, then it is they are going to consider that it is okay. There could be some data challenges, but if it is more than 5%, there are multiple consequences. One is that you will have to redo everything. Second is there are penalties, and if they see that this was maybe purposefully done, or if there are any evidences that they find that this was a kind of was done to reduce the tax impact, there they could ban. I mean, there could be blacklisting, which could happen, and there are severe penalties per ton, whatever was you have supplied. So those penalties will be imposed on those importer. Okay, and that importer will either recover from you or he doing business with you. Okay, so the consequences are very severe. And the biggest consequences is the firm getting blacklisted in business with Europe.
So if there is some unawareness, because of some unawareness, it is not purposely. So who can decide it?
Of course, so that will go from verifier. So verifier will share its finding with the EU authorities, and EU authorities is going to take the call whether it was a mistake or a purposefully done. And I mean, we don't know what is the action that they are going to take based on what are your submissions and what are your uh, supporting points that you want to make for any errors that are there in the reports. That call is with the EU CBAM authority based on the data which is supplied by the verifier.
In some cases, most of the data will be depending upon suppliers. Supplier is giving real data or it's not real. Who will check it? Who will verify that?
See, for example, any exporter, that responsibility is on that exporter to get the actual data from supplier, and then you need to internally verify that whatever data that supplier is giving to you is correct or not. Of course, there could be certain limitations. You can't verify his data. So in that case, what will happen is not clearly defined in the laws that, okay, if supplier is purposefully is giving the incorrect data, what will happen? That is not yet clearly articulated in the regulation yet, but eventually it will come. And currently what is happening. So I'll tell you one example. So we have one customer and he has around 150 odd suppliers. So now what they have done is that they are themselves verifying the supplier data along with the proofs so that they are sure that whatever supplier is doing or submitting to them is correct. So it will depend on how big is the risk for any exporter, and he has to put up is the data which is coming to him is correct.
Okay, thanks.
So there is one more question. SE value. Yeah. Mr. Anwar is saying that, however, the data is compiled and calculated on quarterly basis. Therefore, it is not feasible to provide an individual consignment example, such as January consignment separately. So again, see, Anwarji, the point here is that if you are sending multiple consignments in a quarter to different customers, so in that case, and if there are multiple products, in that case, every customer will need to have a different report based on whatever you have supplied to that particular customer in that particular quarter. So that's where then it boils down to consignment for that particular importer or the customer that you are dealing with. Uh, I mean, it is not very generic. It is case to case basis. We need to see. Again, I'll use one example. So we have one customer. He sends around 70, 80 consignments in a quarter to multiple customers, and he has multiple products. So in that case, he has to create a separate report for the products which are sold to that particular customer in that quarter. And maybe it could be only one or two consignment that particular customer is getting. So he will need his report customized as per his import that he has done. So Anwar, yeah, I hope I tried to cover what you wanted to ask. Kiranji has
Kiranji.
one request.
Yes. Yes, Kiranji, you can
Hello,
ask me. Yeah.
am I audible?
Yes.
My question is that if I am exporting any product to a transcontinental country, for example, Turkey, having some part in Europe and major part in Asia, whether this will be applicable there?
The CBAM is applicable to European Union countries. So no matter, like, even in Europe, not all countries are under European Union. So CBAM is not applicable there. They will have their own systems. It is applicable to all the European Union countries.
So I just want to add here. So Kiranji, if whatever you are supplying, if further it is going to Europe. So for example, you are supplying something to a company in Turkey, and then that company in Turkey is making some product, and then further it is going to Europe. Then you will have to give your CBAM data to the company in Turkey, or Middle East, or in Asia for that matter, or anybody in India, if you are supplying and that company is further supplying to Europe. So it is kind of, you are indirectly part of European supply chain, then this will be applicable to you.
Yeah, there is one question related to raw material and indirect emissions. So yes, indirect emissions are not taxable right now in CBAM for steel and aluminum goods. But indirect emissions is only concerned with the electricity consumption. So be it in your own factory or if it is consumed during the production of your precursor or raw material. So that is considered as indirect emissions, and that is not covered or taxable under CBAM. You need to report those emissions, but it will not be considered during the cost calculations. Only your direct emissions will be considered, and that direct emission includes the emissions that is happening inside your factory during your production process, as well as the direct emissions happening during the production of your raw material. So if you are using steel rod as a your precursor, it's your raw material, then the direct emissions happening during the production of that steel rod is attributed to your production also. So entire direct emission, your own plus your precursors, is considered under CBAM, CBAM cost. Indirect emission, which is coming from your electricity consumption, is excluded from the tax calculation. Yes, Ashwini ji.
मैम हम जो भी अभी डेटा सबमिट करेंगे वो डायरेक्टली टू ईयू सबमिट नहीं करने वाले. सो क्लीन कार्बन वेरीफाई करेगा, राइट? जो भी हम डेटा अभी सबमिट करेंगे तो हम आपको डेटा सबमिट करने वाले हैं फर्स्ट. तो आपकी तरफ से फर्स्ट वेरिफिकेशन होगा, उसके बाद ही वो डेटा यू के पास मतलब सबमिट होगा, राइट? सो
We will just
सॉरी प्रीति. सो सी अश्विनी जी, आपका जो भी डेटा आएगा ना, सो ऑफ कोर्स फॉर एवरी रिपोर्ट दैट वी जनरेट फॉर यू और एनीबडी, हम लोग हमारे साइड से वो वेरीफाई करती है जो आया है, और रिपोर्ट जनरेट करने के बाद भी हम लोग उसको वैलिडेट और वेरीफाई करते हैं, और उसके बाद ही फिर आपको जो भेजते हैं विच यू कैन सेंड इट टू योर कस्टमर्स. ओके, तो जो भी है वो हमारी तरफ से आपने जो डेटा सबमिट किया है उसके बेसिस पे हम लोग वैलिडेट और वेरीफाई करती है, एंड देन यू सबमिट टू योर कस्टमर. सो वो दैट प्रोसेस वाज पार्ट ऑफ व्हाट वी यूज्ड टू डू अर्लियर एंड इट विल कंटिन्यू.
But that third party verification is a separate thing, and they will look for traceability of that data. We just see that whatever data you have given, whether it fits correctly, like is it in sync with your past data? Is it like, are you missing based upon your production process or sub processes? Are you missing any raw material or fuel in that, or whether your values are in proportion or not? Those kind of checks we do, and we check whether the generated report is correct, accurate as per the EU guidelines. But the verifier, third party verifier, will see your process. They will see whether you are considering all your sub processes under CBAM or not, whether there are any other products which comes under CBAM regulations and you are sending it to EU. So whether all those products are covered under this or not, whether your data is traceable. So from where your data is coming and it is used in the report. So they will compare your final report with your actual data. So that kind of, so their verification will be much deeper, and that will have actual impact.
Okay.
Yes, I think we have covered all the questions, and
yes.
one thing हो सर, एक्चुअली मैं पूछ रहा था कि हम लोग जैसे डाटा जो प्रिपेयर करते हैं वो हमारी प्रोसेस में एक पर्टिकुलर प्रोडक्ट के लिए जाता है. हम लोग प्रोडक्ट अलग अलग बनाते हैं, हमारे प्रोडक्ट से 10 तरीके. जब वेरीफायर आएगा और वो ये देखेगा हम सिर्फ पर्टिकुलर प्रोडक्ट के लिए रिपोर्ट बना रहे हैं, बाकी के लिए नहीं बना रहे हैं, तो उसमें केस में क्या होगा?
तो अर्णव जी, जो प्रोडक्ट आपका यूरोप में जा रहा है उसी का एनीवेज इज फोकस. सो जो वेरिफिकेशन भी होगा दैट वुड बी अराउंड ओनली द प्रोडक्ट्स व्हिच आर गोइंग टू यूरोप, और जो आप नहीं कर रहे हो तो दैट मींस इट इज अज्यूम्ड कि वो यूरोप में नहीं जा रहे. दैट्स व्हाई यू हैव नॉट रिपोर्टेड दैट. इफ यू आर doing that, then maybe we'll have to see case to case कि आपके केस में वो क्यों आप बता नहीं रहे हो अगर वो यूरोप में जा रहा है.
तो जो यूरोप में हम एक्सपोर्ट करेंगे उसके लिए पूरा हमको शो करना होगा.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Oh, great. I think it was a useful session. Thank you, everyone. Again, really appreciate all your time. Thanks, Priti, for conducting this. And yes, we are looking forward to support you and see that we see through this challenge together.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thank
day.
you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Bye-bye.